quick.
All right.
We can start a little early.
Okay.
Been up to?
What you say?
Say what you been up to?
Oh, I'm just trying to, with your guidance, figure out how to merge this dispatch and freight broker together. And
Okay.
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
I understand it because I've done it before. Like I said, when it was antiquated, before cell phones, I kind of did it.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out the best way to put them both together, especially on the freight side, to put owner operators on the freight broker side, or just use the load board, make it simple, and just use the load board to keep the freight broker side going.
Well, in my opinion, a good way to do it is, with your broker authority, if you have independent owner operators who are leased under your authority, your broker authority, not a trucking company, but a broker authority.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, then you can run them under that broker authority. So when you get loads, you can book loads for them and you can dispatch, you can manage those trucks under your brokerage because they'll be asset based. So you can dispatch them they like to use the word manage now. So manage the trucks. So that way. Or, because I'm assuming you're trying to put them together without creating two separate companies.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I have to do two separate ones, I will. I just don't want I don't want to get in trouble if they're supposed to be separated.
Right. Now, if you want to dispatch for a lot of trucks and do a brokerage, I mean, the only way, in my opinion, is to bring those trucks under your brokerage and then manage the trucks. Otherwise, you can have a separate dispatching company dispatching those trucks, and then a separate brokerage company still finding loads for those trucks that you dispatch using some of the loads from your shippers under your brokerage. So there's different strategies. So you could say you got a brokerage and you got like 5 shippers, and each shipper is giving you like 10 loads a week. You're moving those loads. You can go to your dispatching company and reach out to the equipment types in the dispatching company to move loads for your brokerage. So if the shippers you got in your brokerage are like the commodities or the equipment types are like dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers, and you're dispatching for the same equipment types that you're getting loads for from your brokerage, then that's a win-win because you can just simply send those loads to your dispatching side to those trucks over there.
Okay. So that's putting them under the same company or 2 different companies?
That's putting them under 2 different companies. Now, if you put them under the same company, then they wouldn't be independent owner operators. They'll be owner operators who are leased under your brokerage. So they'll be asset based under your brokerage. Then you can just manage those trucks under your brokerage based off of the shippers that you are getting loads for. So if you got, let's say you just start off with your brokerage, you got 1 of each of the major equipment types, one drive-in, 1 flatbed, 1 reefer, and you found a shipper of each one of those types. You can run loads because you got assets to support those shippers' loads. You can say, okay, well, I got a trucking side within my. You don't even tell them that. You say I'm asset based. I'm an asset based brokerage, so I got the trucks. I don't have to do a contract with trucks. I got trucks internally under my brokerage. So shippers are more likely to go with you because you don't have to waste time trying to find carriers, getting them set up with the brokerage. You already got assets under your company. So it takes out the guesswork. So.
Okay. All right, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, so
And separate them.
yeah. Well, now was that you that was saying that you got shippers that you can get to and try to get under your brokerage?
Yeah.
Let's see, someone's trying to come in. Okay. Um, so if you already got shippers, now do you have like all your
I don't have them. I don't have them. I haven't reached out to anybody yet, but when I did it way back when, that was not a problem for me at all. I don't know if it's going to be a problem now, but back then that was not a problem. I could get the accounts. It was getting the drivers.
right?
Because I could call a driver. Like the system is way more user friendly now than it was back then.
I agree.
And so now I can see what type of, back in the day, I had the account and you call the driver, and if they needed a reefer trailer, they had a drive van. That was the issue I was running into.
Oh, okay. So now
You couldn't see, you really didn't know what they had. You saw drivers were available, but you couldn't see the other part of it.
you couldn't see what equipment.
Now you can.
Now you can.
Yes. Yeah.
So now too, also when you post load, you make it known the equipment type that you need to cover this load. That way they won't waste your time calling. If you need a reefer load, but a flatbed carrier is calling you, they won't waste your time. So,
right.
Now are you considering bringing on agents under your brokerage too?
I can. It'll be people that I know though.
Right. And do you have a process or like an SOP set up for your company to?
No, I haven't set that up to see how I'm going to go about doing it.
Right. Because you can advertise, hiring like on social media or on LinkedIn or Craigslist or however you want to advertise it. To hiring freight agents. If you want them to have experience or a book of business, then you would mention that, you need to have experience or at least a few shippers coming in, or because I don't know if you're going to do an hourly or a commission split. Generally, it's a commission split. Like if you don't have any book of business, you're coming in fresh, we'll train you in our brokerage, and then the commission split is 50-50. You bring the shippers, and then we move those loads. We manage those loads, book them and everything in our internal system, TMS, load tenders and all this other stuff, and we'll split the commission. As you build and grow your book of business, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, then that commission split, the ratio increases. So it's like 50-50 to maybe after a year or two, 60-40, and then maybe a cap at 70-30. When I was an agent years ago, I was 80-20. So the agent gets the higher percentage because they're doing most of the work. The agents are essentially working they're just using the broker's authority and then bringing customers to the broker. And then based off of how they're trained in their TMS system and how they convert the load tenders into a rate confirmation and build the loads, then that's how you would determine what the commission split is. So do you have any?
My pause with that is I've seen people they come work for you, and then the next thing you know, they're gone, and they're gone with your stuff.
Right. So now in the contract, that's a good point. That's a very good point you make. In the contract, when you sign on with when an agent signs on to a brokerage, the verbiage in the contract should read whether or not you will allow that person to take their book of business with them when they decide to leave.
Okay.
So some, like with me, I had it where I could take because as an agent, they're my customers. I just brought them to your brokerage, just funnel them through brokerage made you some money, and then I'm about to leave and form my own brokerage, I should be allowed to take my customers with me. Or if you want to be fair, for you giving me an opportunity to work as your agent, I'll take my book of business, but I'll take 50% of my book of business and leave the other 50 for you as a show of appreciation for allowing me to come in as an agent and to learn the business in such a way that I can now become my own brokerage. So it depends on how you structure, that contract if you're going to go the agent route. Because at some point you're going to need agents, because your brokerage is, the ultimate goal is for the brokerage to grow, and you're going to need to scale it eventually. Right. So when you get to that bridge, you want to be able to cross it correctly. So it's like, well, how do you structure the contract? Do you have, what's your commission ratios? 50-50 for no book of business, 60-40, 70-30, and that's the cap. And then the wording in the contract is, okay, you can take a book of business with you, but after so many years or a year, you can take 50% of your book of business, not all of it, because I need you to leave us something as a way of, as a show of appreciation for us allowing you to come under our tutelage, learn the ways of business, and then grow. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that you may want to notate on that. Are you active now? Is your brokerage active? Your authority?
No, I'm going to, after I do the training today, what I was going to do is call them tomorrow, because they told me it can become active again in a matter of days.
Okay.
And I can keep the same numbers I have.
Okay, so
they said it's active. They said it's active, but I haven't been doing anything with it.
It may be active / pending kind of thing. They have a I'm assuming,
and that's why I want to hurry up and do something. That's why I want to hurry up and do something with it, because I don't know if they would just get rid of it.
And what area of the country are you in?
Jacksonville, Florida.
You're in Florida, so you got shippers down there pretty steadily. They got water shippers down there, bottled water,
paper goods.
So now, are you researching areas like to call shippers or to reach out to shippers in that regard? Or?
I haven't. This is the first thing I did. This is the first step, this training, and then I'm trying to figure out the best way to structure it. Now, hiring the agents and doing the split, that's a boom in itself right away. Kind of, sort of.
Right. Well, I wouldn't, if I were you, since you're brand new, just starting out, I would do it myself to the point where you figure you can't handle it alone,
Okay.
That way you're learning the process, you're understanding the process. So when you do bring on agents, you are a better instructor to them, a better trainer for them, because you've been through that experience. So, and the fact that it's your business, so you want to run your business your way, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, how do I, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the process or the workflow and how I'm running my business? So I got the broker side set up. I got my insurance set up, my BMC 84 or 85, whichever one you got, the trust fund or the surety bond, insurance, all that stuff. So I got all the requirements. I'm just waiting for the authority to become back active. Once that happens, I'll work the broker. Let's say I'll work the brokerage for a year. Because I got another lady friend. She's a broker. She's doing it by herself now, but she's beginning to look for agents because she has like about 5 shippers now, and she's getting to a point where she can't handle all that by herself. Matter of fact, I should have had her come in on the call. But she's doing it by herself right now. But I told her, I said, well, in the freight broker training, I'll leverage her knowledge and at the same time find agents for her. Okay, there's Mike. Let me get Mike on. So yeah. So the workflow in your brokerage, once it becomes active, then the first thing you want to do is, if you can do it at the same time, you can probably build a network of, what's up, Mike? Build a network of carriers by advertising on social medias and different load boards and stuff like that. But the main thing is you got to lock in your customers, because you can call as many carriers as you want, but if you don't have loads to move for them, especially good paying loads, then it's a moot point.
So do the driver setup first.
No, do the customers first, shippers.
Do the shippers first. Okay.
Yeah, because you want to have customers lined up. Now if you could do it at the same time, that's cool, but
okay.
Get your customer base and your carriers at the same time if possible.
Okay.
Because now if you go with the carriers first and you say, I'm a broker, I need you to get set up with me, they're going to ask questions like, okay, well, what loads do you have? And if you don't have anything, they're going to be like, well, why would I get set up with you if you don't have any loads for me to move? But right. Your response to that is, well, let me at least get you under my brokerage. You get you set up with the carrier packet, the broker carrier agreement, get all that, set up in my system. So when I do get loads, I can reach out to you and all that process will already be finished. We won't have to cross that bridge, Right. So there's different scenarios now. Now with the shipper, you go to the shipper and he's gonna reverse that, and he or she is gonna reverse that and ask the same question. Well, are you asset based or are you contract? And what they mean is, do you have trucks already under your brokerage, or do you have a network of contracted carriers? And you just started out. If you don't have any, then the shipper's gonna be like, well, if I give you loads, what guarantees do I have they're gonna move? Well, your argument would be, well, if these loads are market rate loads, then them moving won't be a problem because carriers are just looking for good rates, and prior to going into that meeting with that shipper, you already have an understanding what those rates are for at least the three specific equipment types: dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers. You will know that, dry vans is at least $1.90 to $2. I mean, yesterday, I remember I showed on that trend line. Yeah, so $1.90 to $2 a mile for a dry van. Flatbeds is $2.40 to $2.50. Reefers is $2.50 to up to $2.75, $3. So you'll know those numbers. So when a shipper asks that, then you'll be able to just reverse that. So let me get Robert in here too. Let me send it to his email. Robert just signed. Another question is, are you going to try to go after one shipper per each equipment type, or are you going to try to go after, you're going to try to find a niche in a specific equipment type and what commodities haul for that equipment type? Because
I'll do all kinds. This is what I want to do. I want to talk to some drivers, and then I'm trying to figure out the order of operation.
Okay.
Because it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
Exactly.
If I go to the shippers first, the shipper's going to say, well, how many drivers do you have? If I go to the drivers first, the drivers are going to say, how many, what am I hauling and how much it's going to be.
Exactly. So then your argument let's just use the shipper scenario first. Your argument would be with the shipper, well, how many drivers do you have? Well, I
can get drivers. That's not a problem. How many do you need?
There you go. And let them know that, and let them know, well, what's your capacity? What's the frequency and the volume of loads that you need moved, and how often do you need them moved? And then what are your pain points? What's the hardest lane that you're having trouble moving your freight in? And let me be a problem solver for that. This is the argument that this is what you come at the shipper with.
Okay.
Now on the carrier side, your argument will be, well, I'm working on getting dedicated lanes, dedicated freight, and I'm working on getting at least market value loads as a broker. So if you sign up with my brokerage, this is what you have to look forward to.
I can keep you rolling.
Exactly. So
tell me again what the shipper. Say that again for me for the shipper. Oh, what's your problem lane?
Right. I specialize in solving problems, right? I specialize in solving problems. What is the most difficult lanes that you have on either a monthly or weekly or however frequently you want this freight moved from your customer to your other customer? How often do you need it moved? What's the problem lane with that? Give me an opportunity to, if you give me an opportunity to prove to you that I can move those loads for you, and then we can work together, you know?
Okay.
And shippers usually give load tenders to brokers. Hey, Robert. Shipper usually gives the load tenders to the brokers, and then you build the load. You build rate confirmations within your TMS system, whichever one it is, to a rate confirmation minus your percentage, whatever that rate is. That's another thing we got to cover. If you know, what is your margin going to be as a broker, and how fair is that going to be to the carriers? And that's important because the more fair you are to the carriers, the more the greater your chances of those loads being moved. A carrier is not going to move cheap freight. So for example, if you get a shipper, let's say it's a dry van, flatbed, or reefer shipper of the three major equipment types, they give you 5 loads a week to move, right? And each load, they're going to give you $5,000. That's their load tender. No more, no less. You got to move this $5,000. And it's going, let's say, $5,000.
Jacksonville to Atlanta.
Jacksonville to Atlanta. That's a high load for $5,000. That's a short distance.
Yeah.
So let's say $3,000 then, since you gave me that Jacksonville to Atlanta. Okay. So $3,000, Jacksonville to Atlanta. So whatever that loaded miles is, what's the loaded miles from? Well, let's Google that. Let's Google Jacksonville to Atlanta.
Well, let's just do 190, and it's about 4. It's about 4. Let's say 440 miles or something like that from Jacksonville to Atlanta.
Yeah. Can you see my screen? Did I share my screen?
Nope.
Okay. Sharing it now.
But I'll do it 190 times 440.
I'm sharing.
836.
I just shared. So you said Jacksonville to Atlanta, right?
Yeah. At $1.90.
So that's 346 miles.
300. Oh, I did 440. Okay, 346 miles at $1.90.
Well, let's say if they give you a $4,000 load tender for that load.
Okay.
All right. Let's say it's a reefer load and it has 1 pick and 2 drops. You understand what I mean when I say that?
Yep.
Okay. So that means that 440 reefer load, and it needs to be pre-cooled. The shipper, your customer, the shipper, you just got this new shipper, they require it to be pre-cooled continuously at 0 degrees. Okay, nothing below 0. So that way your temperature control unit, you don't use a lot of that extra fuel on the TCU, the temperature control unit. So let's say also they give you a $4,000 load tender to move those 4 loads. So each load is paying $4,000 to get you from Jacksonville to Atlanta. There's no backhaul, so you may have to do your own backhaul load, finding a load to get a backhaul. You may have to get if you're a smart broker, and I'm not saying you are, but if
by the time they get halfway from Jacksonville to Atlanta, I'm already looking at the other load.
Or
how long is it going to take to drop that load?
Right. Or you can get a shipper within a certain radius of the Atlanta metropolitan area going back down to Florida. So you see what I'm saying? So that's the strategy with brokers. So it's the same strategy. Yeah. It's the same strategy with dispatchers, where they get brokers going from Jacksonville to Atlanta and then a broker coming from Atlanta back to Jacksonville. The same concept applies with the brokers. You found a shipper in Jacksonville, they're going up to the Atlanta area and the surrounding areas. Now, it would make sense to get a shipper in the Atlanta area, bringing something back down to near the Jacksonville area within a certain radius. So now you created with your 2 customers like a dedicated lane. Right? So, but let's say for the sake of argument, for the first example, it's just going one way, $4,000 load tender. Let's say your margin is 20% or 15%. Let's say you don't take too much off the top. That's 346 miles. Let's say you take 15% off the top, or let's say 20%. So because that's kind of greedy for a broker, but let's say 20%. So 20% of 4,000.
800.
800, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you turn around and when you build that load in your TMS system, you are paying the carrier 800 from 4,000, $3,200. That's still a heck of a run.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
32. Now this is kind of unrealistic, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
345, 346. You know, that's unrealistic, but that's the concept. So let's break it down even further. Let's say 2,000. Let's say the shipper gives you $2,000 for that, and you still take your 20%. So that's what, 400. So now 1,600. That's more realistic. So you build a load and you build a load in your TMS system, and you produce a rate confirmation minus your 20% from that load. So you're gonna charge, or you're gonna pay the carrier 1,600.
Right.
So 1,600 divided by the 346 miles that they're going, $4.60, and that's a reefer load. So that's a decent run. So I can't. What carriers are going to be blowing your phone up if you post that load on the load board. Like, remember the load board I gave you is called Post Everywhere. Post Everywhere. If you post that one run, you say I got a Jacksonville, 4 loads coming out of Jacksonville going to Atlanta or the surrounding area. You know, 4 loads. Each load's paying $1,600. It's 1 pick, 2 stops. So you go to Jacksonville, you stop maybe halfway in somewhere in Georgia prior to getting to Atlanta, and then your final stop's in Atlanta. It's paying $4.62 a mile. Your phone is going to blow up so much. So the thing that you do then, when your phone blow up, now it gives you a chance to build your networked carrier contract base with all these carriers signing up under your brokerage.
Right.
So this is the first attempt with the shipper, and then getting in with that shipper, and then getting those carriers. So the next time you go to another shipper, now you've built up like 50 carriers already who wanted that one load. You got them all set up, right? Mm-hmm. So when you go to the next shipper, now your argument is even greater. See, now how many carriers? The shipper's going to ask, well, how many carriers do you have? Well, I got a network of 50 carriers right now, and I'm growing still. So the shipper hears 50 carriers. They're thinking, okay, I got the potential to have 50 loads moved with this one broker. Mm-hmm. You see, and this happened from your previous experience with the first shipper, getting in good with that first shipper, convincing them to at least give you an opportunity to move loads on their difficult lane. And then you built up a network of an extra 50 carriers from that experience. And now when you go to the second shipper, you have even more leverage or more ammunition, because now you got 50 carriers to back your company up.
Right.
They're not asset-based, they're contract-based, which means that they're already set up with your brokerage. They already went through your vetting process with your brokerage and your compliance process, because brokers use, you vet out your carriers with the W-9, the certificate of insurance, and the MC authority letter. You in your TMS system, whichever one. I don't know if you have a TMS system now, but
no, I haven't gotten all that yet.
Yeah, Ascend is a good one. It's a good starting one. They have a free version, and then they have a premium version. I don't know if you see my screen.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
okay.
I was just about to say, introduce Ascend.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll introduce to you Ascend. So here is Ascend. This is the basic version. You have a premium version. I think it's like $55 or $49 a month, whatever that number is. It's not expensive, right? And Ascend provides, even on their dashboards, they provide data right in the front page. They give you some analytical data in the front, current highway rates for fuel, the national rates right now for each equipment type, the 3 major ones, like a dry van, a spot market rate. What a spot market rate is what the loads are on the load boards. Those are spot market loads, right? So line haul, fuel surcharge. So van, $2.03, reefers, $2.30, flatbeds, $2.15. So they're giving you in real time those rates. And then the average for the fuel on highway diesel prices, US average 244 right now, and it's up 1 cent from the previous week. So it's giving you statistics right here on the dashboard.
Okay.
Now, in the actual TMS system, this area right here is what you want to get familiar with. So loads right here, when you get loads from the shipper, you can view loads, you can build a load, and you can view the loads that you already have in your system. Well, if you want to build a load, you would build a load in here. You can build it from a template that you have, or you can go through the new wizard. So if you go through the new wizard, that means that you just manually enter the information. This is the action areas right here, how to build the loads. But right here's the main area, the basic load information. You know, the load status, it's pending. Let's say it's pending, or needs a carrier. We'll say pending. Truck status, needs carrier setup. That's when you first start, because you got to get this. Let's say you got that load from Jacksonville to Atlanta for a drive-in. I mean, a reefer. We said reefer, right? So load reference, we'll say, I don't know, ABC 123. That's just something for us to reference, right? And in the commodity, since it's reefer, we'll just say refrigerated if it has it on here, and it does, refrigerated. So this is literally what you would do if you were to manually build a load in the Ascend TMS. Now, the other way to do it, if you have what's called an EDI integration, electronic data interchange, where the data is automatically transferred through a connection between the shipper, your customer, and your TMS system. It integrates into there and automatically populates these fields for you.
Okay.
And the only thing that you would have to do is just update the prices of what your margin is going to be that you're going to mark off, the 20%, 15%, whatever that is, right?
Okay.
So, but EDI integration, it's a process and it's kind of expensive. It's between 5 and 10 grand to get EDI set up. Once you set it up once, all you do is send an EDI alert and a connection to every shipper that participates in EDI integration. Not all shippers do. Other shippers, they just send a paper load tender connected to a PDF to an email. So, all right. So you would build the load in here, equipment type, reefer, right? If it's in here, I think I passed it.
Yeah, you just.
Right there, regular reefer. The length, of course, 53 foot. Temperature, we said in our example, we say we want to be 0 degrees continuous, right? So now in the load notes, the public, you got public notes and you got private notes that only the broker sees. The public notes, the driver's going to see on the load confirmation or the rate confirmation. They call it a load confirmation. That's the difference between public load notes and private load notes, okay? So when you're building a load, if you don't want the carrier to see what you need to say, make a special note for yourself, you will put it in private. Otherwise, you'll say, okay, let's say like, for example, 0 degrees continuous, if I can spell continuous. And then anything else, 1 pick, 2 drops or whatever, and then you'll, you know, whatever you want to do there. And then once you are done on the initial, see, we're on load basics right here. You got different areas: load basics, customer information, carrier asset information, edit number stops, and the financial. So this is how you literally build a load in the Ascend TMS system. Okay. Now, other TMS systems are similar. Some of them features are a little bit less user-friendly than Ascend, but the point is the same. You know, you build the load based off of the information your customer sends you, which is the shipper, and then you create what's called, you get a load tender from your shipper, the customer, and you create what's called a rate confirmation for the carrier. So whenever you see rate confirmations from brokers, they've like when you talk to a broker as a dispatcher, you send them the carrier packet to get your carrier set up that you're dispatching for, and you send them the other documents. They'll say, okay, give me 30 minutes. I'm going to create a rate confirmation. This is literally what they're doing. They're going in there, either they're going to do it through EDI or they're going to manually put all the data in there. That's why it's taking them so long. Some brokers are a little bit quicker because they have templates set up because they deal with the same customers over and over again. So they'll just go ahead and select their customer. Like right here, you see customers, you might have a customer already. We can add a customer. You might get a Jacksonville customer for refrigerated goods. You can view your customer.
Okay.
So you'll see that I had samples in here. You can view customer that you already got, so their information is already populated. So you just open up the customer, import their data into the loads area where you're building that load, and then go from there.
Okay.
So, but this is a TMS system. Other features of the TMS, I don't want to stay too long on the loads feature, but I mean, because I can always go back and literally show you how to build a load. That's not a problem. But
Okay.
But other features of it, again, the EDI, that's where you do the incoming EDIs, the incoming tenders from the shippers. You have an area for that. And then you have an EDI log to keep a log of all the ones that you've done for accounting purposes and audit purposes, things like that. That's what that's for. Okay. And then your customers are the shippers. So this is from a broker's perspective. We're looking at a TMS system, transportation management software. So your customers are the shippers. You can add customers and you can bulk import customers. If you got like 10 of them you want to send in at the same time, you can bulk import them. Assets, those are your power onlys, your trailers, all the assets that you have under your brokerage. You know, now you can call assets and carriers the same thing. Assets I would classify as the assets that are under your brokerage, that are under your broker's authority. Carriers are the ones that you have contracted, that you set up with a carrier agreement as a broker. You sent them a carrier package.
Okay, hold on. You said assets are under broker.
Yeah,
under
assets.
my broker.
Yeah, assets would be the ones that are under your broker's your broker's authority. If you come in, if you set up your broker authority as an asset-based brokerage, that means you have your truck and trailers within your brokerage, then those are your assets. They're yours.
All right.
Right? Carriers are your network of carriers that you set up, you know, after you get your broker authority running and you go to shippers and get customers and you don't have assets, you're non-asset based. You get carriers by signing them up to your brokerage, not under your broker authority, but getting them set up, getting them on board with your brokerage. So that's the difference.
Okay, so asset, they're under my brokerage authority, and then a carrier they have signed to the brokerage.
Correct. Assets, you come in, say you start your brokerage and you have, let's say you were a truck driver for like 10 years and you say, well, I want to start my brokerage. Well, you own this truck and trailer. So if you start the brokerage, you set up brokerage, then you're going to be an asset-based brokerage because you're coming in with equipment already. You got a truck and trailer. So that's an asset.
Okay.
Yeah, you have a power only and you have a trailer. See, they even break it down. You have asset groups. You can have different asset groups. You can have reefer asset groups, drive-in asset groups, flatbed asset groups, or you can break it down even more so, power onlys and the trailers, and even your drivers under your company. So
okay.
So now you got carriers, and then you have locations where you pretty much you can sync and coordinate the locations with the customers. So your locations can be where you've gotten those customers from. So you may have got a customer in the location of Jacksonville, Florida, right? Next would be rates. There's a concept called Insta Rate where you can check the rates instantly. So let's look at that. Jacksonville, Florida to Atlanta, Georgia for the reefer and see what data that it generates. So we'll hit get rates. And I didn't add another delivery because I was saying we had one pick and two drops, but I'll just say let's just say for this example, it's just a 1 and 1.
Okay.
So now this is what you get, the rate calculators and things like that. So it gives a line haul of $1.62 and a fuel surcharge of 24 cents. So if you add those two together, that's the all-in rate. So that's what, $1.86. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back to the dashboard, it was a higher rate for reefers.
Yeah.
Right? So you get all these numbers.
The average.
This is the average. So this is the average. So here's the low end, and here's the all-in range, the low end, high end range, and the high end range. So and here's the median. So it gives you something to follow, something to use as a baseline. So you're going 346 miles. Low end is paying 532. The high end is paying 836. So that's still over $2 a mile, 2,000 something a mile. Like right here, over 2,000 miles. The surcharge is the most is 27 cents. The line haul, the high range is 214.
I think you also can set that up for your particular brokerage range.
Yep.
It's giving you the low, medium, the low, the medium, high, but you can take that medium and slide those bars a little bit farther to the right or whatever, to the left, whatever it may be. You should be able to do that. I believe you can do that. So.
I think in premium you can. I don't think you can do it in basic. In the basic version of, because I just tried it, so if I was to upgrade to premium. But yes, you are correct, Robert. And then also it gives you a map, so you can get an idea of how you want to take that. You can take 10 to 70, 10 west to 75 north to get up there, and then hit 285, depending on where you're going in Atlanta or the surrounding areas. So that's a good tool there. And then you have document management. So all the
GPS also.
Yeah. So document management, all the documents that's involved in your brokerage, namely the load tenders from the shippers, and then the broker carrier agreements from the carriers, as well as the rate confirmations that you produce from the load tenders from your shippers, from your customers. So you can keep management of those documents in an organized fashion. You can upload and download documents. In this case, upload. So it's like a customer. It's like a CRM, a customer relationship management platform tool. It's also a CMS, a content management, because you're managing content here. You have reporting, accounting. So it integrates with QuickBooks, particularly the premium version. I'm not sure if basic does, but I know premium does. So you got accounts receivable, accounts payable, invoices, and bills. And it also has under Learn, in settings too, you can change fields, you can change logos, and basically edit and update the user interface experience for yourself. You can kind of tweak it to your experience. You just click these different links and you can edit and update different fields and make changes within the actual platform. And then under the Learn, there are like tutorials showing you how to navigate, because they are connected with a company called InMotion Global. I actually had a couple of years ago a conference call with them, and they went over the features of it. So you can watch like YouTube videos on how to navigate and understand. So in a nutshell,
like a one-stop shop.
It is exactly like a one-stop shop. You can pretty much run your business through, and see, I got my logo right here, so you can put your logo there. This is a one-stop shop and it has a link with the Triumphant factoring. So
is it hard to get a factor account?
For a new broker, I'll say it's a challenge, but as a new broker, I would recommend look for TransCredit to build your credit up to work with factoring companies. But there are factoring companies that are willing to give new brokers an opportunity to work with them, namely Interstate Capital, Foley's, and I think it's either RTS or what's the other one? TBS, I think it is.
You said Interstate Capital, RTS.
Yeah, Foley's. I know Interstate Capital because I deal with Whitney all the time. Foley's, and there's some other ones on here on this. Let me go in here.
I'm trying to think of the one that I used to deal with. That I hooked up some brokers with, you know, as far as when they first started out, you know, and this is years ago, but I don't know if they're still doing it or not. I'd have to look at my paperwork or whatever to see the exact name of it.
Yeah. So let's look in the actual platform and see if I can. I think it's on the workflow, working capital. And this under workflow, this just gives you the, you know, the 4 R's of freight brokering. When you first start, you need, you know, research, reach out, relationship, and return. So what that means is research, when you going after companies. Remember we briefly touched upon it yesterday, Yolanda. We talked about the supply chain logistics, that hierarchy. So you decide what niche and what area you want to go after shippers in, whether you want to go after raw materials, manufacturers, distributors, wholesalers, you know, depending on what area in that supply chain logistics hierarchy you want to target your specific shippers in. So then you say, well, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, and the surrounding areas. Which one of those supply chain logistic areas is saturated in my area, which would make it easier for me to target? So do I have a lot of distributors? Do I have a lot of manufacturers? Do I have a lot of wholesalers? You know, so, or do I have a lot of raw material shippers? You know, those are some of the things that you can consider. So you would look up, you know, do a Google search, or matter of fact, just to give you an idea, we'll say manufacturers, right? Jacksonville, Florida. We can even say shippers. So we got manufacturers right here. So boom, we open this up. So this is one area of the supply chain logistical hierarchy. So look at all these manufacturing companies that are in your area, right?
Yeah.
Some of them, yeah, some of them you recognize because you're from the area, right? So, or you can type shippers in, or distributors in Jacksonville, Florida. So this is a good starting point. Then you can do the research on them. You can go to their website, see what commodities they ship, see who the contact person is, and then now you're getting to the point where you're going to call, try to get past the gatekeeper, start that conversation about trying to get that shipper, get set up with that shipper. So, so there's plenty of them right here. And then you can also go to, there's another website called McRae's Blue Book. I'm not sure if you've heard of that.
The Grays?
McRae's Blue Book.
Oh, McRae's.
Yeah, McRae's Blue Book right here is a free website, and I'll put it in the chat right here for everyone to see. So that's McRae's Blue Book. Is a resource. And you also have Thomas Net. That's another one. But McRae's Blue Book, you can do a search for shippers, right? Just do a general search for shippers based off the product and service type. Or if you know the company name, you can select company name, link, and then hit shippers. But we'll do product and service. Search for shippers. And now it's giving you, here's one in Trinity, Florida.
Okay.
There's one in Florida, which is weird. So let's go back to Google and see. Let's see that number. That number's going to change. I'm sure there's more than one shipper in Florida.
Oh, definitely.
But I'm gonna put shippers in Jacksonville, Florida. So now,
Is it boy?
There.
Okay.
So now we got these shippers. We got expedited logistics, crate and freighters, Caribbean shipping services. So now you decide they're a freight forwarding. So matter of fact, that may be a good idea, freight forwarding, because freight comes into their warehouse all the time. It sits for a few days and then they route it out to other locations. So you could probably you could probably broker some of those routes. Then you have GCM Consolidated. You can look them up. That's another freight forwarding.
So you want to look for freight forwarding companies?
Not necessarily. I'm just saying that they are an option. You want to look for direct shipping companies. Direct shipping companies that they either distribute or manufacture their own products, and they needed to be shipped to their customers. So, and they don't have the
freight
capacity.
Freight forwarding, and what was the other one?
Direct shipping companies.
The direct shippers.
Yeah, either direct manufacturers or direct distributors. So let's look for distributors. So now you got some distributors. You got plenty of distributors in your area.
Oh yeah.
You see, so what you would want to find a niche. So is your niche distributors? Is it the manufacturers? Is it the wholesalers? So the raw materials get the raw materials needed to make products to the manufacturers. The manufacturers make those products and get them to the distributors, right? The distributors get them out to the wholesalers. The wholesalers get them to the retail chains, and then the retail chains get them to the end users or the customers. So that's the hierarchy and the order of that process.
Okay.
So you have to decide, where in that process do you want to begin? What's the easiest entry point for you and your brokerage to start from? So, and that comes based off of some research. You're going to research, okay, well, which one of those categories in the supply chains is more prevalent and easier to access from a new broker's perspective? I would say manufacturers, personally, me. So, because they're always making the products and they need them to be shipped to the distributors. The distributors, if I'm thinking correctly, the distributors, they'll either have their trucking companies already set up with them, for their line haul.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Or they may broker out a few loads that they can't, meet the capacity for. But manufacturers, they're building this. Here's one right here, a business broker. You can probably communicate with this person, let them know, hey, I'm a new broker in this area, just looking for some information, a good starting point. So this is a business broker. A, B, and B manufacturing. So now you got to look up, okay, what do they make? So let's go to one of their websites. Let's go to a company's website. Here's a metal fabricator. So a metal fabricator, that means you're going to be dealing with a flatbed, right? Okay. And not necessarily, but in most cases, it could be steel, it could be rebar. So plastic fabrications, that could be a dry van. Cosmetic products. So we can decide in the manufacturing supply chain space, which of the manufacturers you want to decide to, just in case you selected manufacturers as your niche to target as far as going after. Here's one, Foam and Stone. So let's go to one of their websites just to get an idea of what they do. So Northeast Florida Builders Association. So this is your area, Northeast Florida, Jacksonville, right?
Yes.
So you would, just peruse the website, get an idea of their products and service. You would go to their contact us. So it's usually at the bottom. Here's an email, direct email. So you would set up a standard template for your brokerage firm in such a way that it communicates to shippers, irregardless of what shipper and what area in the logistics chain that they're in. You want to set up a general email template to communicate to them with. So only you would know how you would word that, right? You would know, basically you're putting words into email form of how you want to communicate and get past either the gatekeeper or talk directly to a logistics or a warehouse manager or a shipping manager. So, and of course, in the email, you want to leave your contact information and how to get a hold of you. And you can include attachments you always want to put the attachments of your credentials. You want to put the attachments of your BMC information, or not the BMC information, that's too private. You would let them know that that's available upon request, but you would put the credit application in, your copy of your authority, your broker authority. Don't put the, I take that back, don't put the BMC 84 or 85. That's too much personal information on that, and people can actually do some
Just
bad.
put the MC and the ICC?
Correct. You have the MC, the ICC, and then if they want to see your bond, which is your 84 or 85, then you say, okay, that's available upon request. And then if they request your bond, then that's the next step, because they want to know further about you in order to decide if they want to go ahead and use you,
Okay.
use your service.
Okay.
Right. So Google's a good way to search for in your area as a starting point. Then of course, you want to invest in your Ascend, or not even Ascend, but a TMS. You got Ascend, you have eFreight Solutions, you got Aljex, you got I think Load Pilot has an Ascend feature in it. So you got some work to do, don't you?
Yeah.
You got some work to do. So we were at in here. So you're past prerequisites. You're past broker requirements. Because you already getting you were probably right here. Well, you're not even here yet. I mean, you're probably here because you're going to do the broker side. You're not going to do the broker agent starting out. You want to build your own business up to the point where you need to scale your business, right?
Uh-huh. And
then with workflow and working capital, so the 4 R's, you want to research what shippers you want to call, and of course you want to reach out to them. Most of the time when you call a company, you're going to come across a gatekeeper. So how do you get past the gatekeeper? What do you say? Hey, I need to speak to someone in logistics or someone in shipping.
Okay.
So, and then they'll say, well, I can connect you to what's this in regards to, or I can connect you to their voicemail because they're not available today. Can I connect you to their voicemail? Yes. And then leave a voicemail with a callback contact number. Okay. So that's the reaching out part. The relationship part is you building relationships with anyone in the companies, the gatekeeper or the person you actually talk to. And then of course, once you build a relationship and start moving loads, then that's where the return part comes in. You're going to get more loads as you successfully move that shipper's loads to begin with, right? So here's a sample workflow of what a broker does. This may not necessarily apply to you. This is just a generalized format. So,
okay.
6 to 8 a.m., you're checking your emails from the previous day, updating your load boards from the previous day because you may have booked the load from the previous day and you need to take that load down. Otherwise, you're going to still be getting calls from carriers looking at that load board, but you've already booked that load. So you'd be surprised how many brokers do not do that. When I call brokers booking and looking at a load, trying to book it, they say, oh man, that load is already gone. Let me take that down. I get that more so than I get actual loads that should be booked. Even making changes, and then you got to consider time zones. You're in the Eastern time zone. You may be dealing with carriers, Central, Mountain, Pacific time zone. So you have to factor that in. And then between 8 and 9, this is just an ideal. You're updating load, checking all posted freight because you may be posting loads on load boards. You're checking that, and you're doing check calls on your drivers. As a broker, right. This is one of the requirements of your customers because they need to know where their freight is while it's under your care as a broker, right? So as a broker, your responsibility is to do check calls. Don't bug the drivers to death. Like I had a broker calling me every 15 minutes and I was like, well,
every 15 minutes.
Right. He's at where he is 15 minutes ago. So that's that would be my response. He's 15 minutes further along. Then I told him, I said, look, the process as a dispatcher for me, I normally call you guys, or you guys call me when the carrier gets to the shipper, he'll call me, the dispatcher. I'll let the broker know, okay, he's being loaded. And then once he leaves, he's left. And then about halfway in the route, my guy called me and say, yeah, I'm at mile marker such and such. This is where I'm at. I'll be there. My ETA is 2 hours. I say, okay. And then I'll update the broker. And then when my carrier gets there, he'll call me and say, yeah, I just touched down to security. I'm about to pull into dock number 2 and about to be offloaded. I'll say, okay. And then I'll call the broker. And that should be it. Other than any emergencies. Hey, I caught a flat tire. I'm at the weigh station being checked by DOT for a level 1 inspection or whatever, you know. So other than that, don't call me every 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I mean, it's unnecessary. You know, if you got a shipper or a customer that's that worried about freight that they're calling that they require the broker to call the carrier every 15 minutes, then that shipper needs to get in the truck and drive that freight. You know what I'm saying? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So this is just an idea right here. You know, take your lunch. You know, you need a break. You're a broker, but you still need a break. You know, you're always posting. You're always checking. You're always updating loads, and then in the mornings you start calling East Coast time zone shippers and manufacturing prospects, and then. You know, you start calling Central Time between 9 and 11. You start calling your Central Time if you're targeting like shippers in Chicago or shippers, you know, in Central Time zones. You call within that reasonable amount of time in that time zone. So you're always going to call 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. in whatever time zone. So if you call 8 a.m. in the Eastern Time zone, or I'm sorry, 9 a.m. in the Eastern Time zone. So when 10 o'clock comes, you call shippers in the Central Time zone, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, because it's 9 o'clock Central Time. It's an hour behind, right?
Right.
So, and then in the Mountain Time, you call 11 o'clock, and then at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, you call West Coast because that's 3 hours behind. So you don't want to call an office that's closed on the West Coast at 9 o'clock Eastern Time because there's no one there. So, and that's just, and this is just an overview and idea of how to do that. And then after lunch, you're finishing calls, you're checking checking the boards, you're updating loads, you're keeping track of calls, and also too, starting out, some brokers they'll say we want to average between 50 and 100 calls a day. So that's the point and the purpose of having agents. You want to have them do that, train them in such a way that if they get prospects. And if they get a shipper on the line that wants to move forward in the process, then you train your agents in such a way, okay, well, let me transfer you to this person, which will be you, the broker. So you close the deal. Let the agents make the volume calls. And if they happen to get one that, you know, that gets on that hook, they get a fish on that hook, then you close the deal as the broker because you know, that's your process.
Okay.
And then working capital, you know, lines of credit from a bank, factory companies, savings. You know, this is how most brokers get started. You know, there's, you know, obtain working capital. So lines of credit, factory companies. With the factory companies, they pretty much is receivables financing. Basically, they're buying those invoices, those VOLs, and they're charging you a percentage for that service. So. And with factory companies, you have what's called recourse and non-recourse factoring with factory companies. And the range of percentages for their service is between 1% and 5% based off of what they do. So if they are a recourse factoring, that means that they are going after the shippers or the brokers, in the case of a carrier, for non-payment. So they go after them in the small claims courts and things like that. So you don't have to waste time and energy and dollars doing it. So,
okay.
So we're talking about customers now, so we might as well go into, but that's the main focus is the customers. So like I was saying before, in brokering, you want to make it easier for you, instead of being all over the place, you want to find a specific niche. So you want to find a niche in what equipment types you want to broker for starting out, And then as you build your brokerage, you'll grow and scale into other equipment types, dry vans, flatbeds, or reefers. But start off with the easiest equipment type for you first. You know, maybe flatbeds is easier for you. Maybe dry vans, maybe reefers. And then target shippers who have commodities that go on those equipment types. For example, flatbeds, you target lumber shippers or manufacturers, or you'll target steel, you know, shippers and manufacturers that goes under the category of flatbeds.
Mm-hmm.
You see how that works?
Yeah, I know about that. Yeah.
Okay. So some of the ways of reaching out. So the 4 R's, back to the 4 R's, reaching out. You got researching the company, reaching out. Of course, you're making the cold calls. You actually visiting the facilities. You visit them, and then emails. And then we got the websites, McGrady's Blue Book, Manta, Thomas Net. I even have them down here.
Okay.
So if you got the shippers in your area, let's say you found your niche, you're targeting flatbed shippers because you want to get flatbed carriers under your brokerage. If you have flatbed shippers in your area, why not visit them locally and speak to the logistics managers or the shipping managers directly? Set up a time, set up an appointment. Bring in donuts, take them out to lunch, what you know, whatever you got to do, you know.
Snooze.
Essentially, yeah. So here's an example of a broker shipper agreement. You know, I'm not sure if you've seen one before. Pretty straightforward.
All right.
Yep. What they require, what you can provide. Most shippers are like either 30 or 45 days out as far as paying. Right here, shipper agrees to pay broker's invoice within 30 days of invoice date without deduction or set off. So they're either net, so that's called either net 30 or net 45. So that's the reason why brokers get factoring companies.
Sure.
And then in the agreement, it explains like the verbiage about claims in case there's a claim that needs to be filed, loss, damage, what process and who's responsible for what and how that's handled, the insurance, how that's handled, surety bond information, just general information that's pretty standard in most broker shipper agreements.
Okay.
And then you know your signature is there. And then the shipper's information is there. And then you're gonna, you know, put your credit application for the shipper in there and maybe your broker authority and your bond information.
Okay.
So.
All right.
You want to educate yourself about the company even prior to meeting the person. So you go in there conversating. If you have an appointment with a logistics or shipping manager, you want to have some information about the company prior to going to that appointment. You know, what do they haul? What's their commodity? What's their volume? So when you go in there, it makes you look a little bit more up to date about the company, and it gives a good impression to that person about them. You know, instead of going in there and saying, "Hey, yeah, I understand that you guys haul steel." Like he can be like, "What?" So it's just, you know, having all your ducks in a row. Dealing with the customers and shippers. So we got McGrady's Blue Book again, cold calling, gatekeeper. So I got some scripts in here that I.
Hey, Charles, I'm switching over. I'm switching over to my other computer.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right.
So we got the gatekeeper scripts, something that you might say, cold calling. The gatekeeper is the person who answers the phone. It could be a receptionist. It could be the secretary for that shipper or logistics manager. But some of the common things you might say, hey, you know, hey, my name is, and then Yolanda, you know, and I'm with your blah, blah, blah. I was wondering if I could tell me about, well, who's in charge of shipping. So, and they'll connect you with the shipper. Then you get, let's say, for example, you get a hold of the shipper. You know, you know, hey, Charles, I'm the shipper. Hey, Mr. Shipper, this is Yolanda with, you know, whatever your company name is, Yolanda, Worldwide Transport. I have 50 trucks in your area daily. And I was wondering what I need to do to move some of your freight. And that's simple. I got 50 trucks in your area. I was wondering what I need to do to move some of your freight. Or what do I need to get set up with you? So once the shipper hears that, they're going to either say, we don't use brokers, or we don't need brokers at this moment, but check back with me in a few months. And definitely do that because you've already made contact with them. So if they don't use brokers, you can ask them, okay, you guys work directly with carriers and trucking companies? They'll say yes. Okay, well then I'm gonna put on my dispatching hat now. You see? Okay. So, but don't let them off the hook.
So if they say they don't need brokers, I can say, well, I also do dispatch. Yeah,
you can say you don't have a trucking company, but you say, well, I have a network of dispatchers that work with trucking companies that we can move those trucks in your area.
Okay.
So now he'll say, so if he says we don't work with trucking companies, so now he's lying because he has to work with either one or the other. Yeah. So then the shipper's going to either say that, or he may even ask you, well, can you send me a lane quote? Well, then if he asks that, well, then you're going to ask him, well, what lane do you need quote for? You know, what's your email? You know, email, here's my email. Give me that lane. He's going to say, okay, Jacksonville to Atlanta for a drive-in or for a reefer. Okay, I need okay. And then you just send it to him. And then, or he'll say, can you send me a shipper packet? So what's in the shipper packet is your credentials and that credit application. Your bond information, your authority, your broker authority, your W-9, your insurance, and that credit application. Boom. And he's going to send the credit application back and start getting set up.
So credit app, your MC authority.
Yeah, I'm going to give you an example of packet types. So I was going to go there next.
Okay, we can wait.
Okay. But here is, yeah, so I structured this Freight Broker 101 in like a certain order in the way. Okay. So we also got email marketing. Hunter.io is also a good email marketing to locate shippers based off of an email resource. We got Thomas.net. We got McGray's. I think I sent you the link for McGray's Blue Book. Here is Thomas.net. Thomas.net is for, this is for shippers too, so I can send you this. So this is a resource and a starting point for you. Oh, Seven Oaks Factoring Company is the factoring company Robert just gave us in the chat.
The number 7?
Well, spelled out, S-E-V. Okay. Yeah, Seven Oaks Factory. So let me Google that real quick. And
O-A-K-S?
Yep, O-A-K-S.
Okay.
Seven Oaks Capital Factory or Seven Oaks Factory? Seven Oaks Capital Associates. Are you new to factoring accounts receivable? So I think this is the one, factoring services. So let me send you the link. And a lot of information.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Robert. That's the beauty of networking.
Yeah. Why try to reinvent the wheel?
Yeah. So Seven Oaks Factory. So you would go through here, Seven Oaks Factory. It said, are you new to factoring? Accounts receivable finance can increase your cash flow immediately. Once approved, we finance invoices on the day we receive them. So same day factoring. So that could be you can leverage that information, use it as a marketing ploy for your carriers. You know, you get set up with us, we do same. Once you send us your BOL or your POD, proof of delivery, you'll get paid same day.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? You can leverage your factoring company's features in order to pull in carriers to your brokerage. You see? Right here, even here on the website. Here on the website, free, we make factoring less complicated. Free credit check, same day funding, same day approval, free load board. They even have their internalized load board. Discount fuel, no setup fees, discounted FedEx, no long-term crime. So they got discounts on fuel. So they may give out fuel cards and things like that. So if you were to call them, this 800 number, start a conversation with them, see what kind of perks they offer, and leverage it and add it within your brokerage on the carrier side.
Yeah.
You know, set up a little advertisement for the carrier. This is what we offer. This is our brokerage. These are the lanes we'll have. We offer factoring. We have fuel cards, same day funding, same day approval. Once you submit the POD to us, either through email or upload it to us, you know, you get paid the same day, you know, things like that.
I probably do 72 hours.
72 hours?
Just to make sure I get it.
Yeah. And then here's Thomas Net. This is an email resource. You can get an email based off of the name of one of the companies. So here, let's see suppliers. So let's find a supplier. Let's say this one here. Copy. You got to have an account set up with them. Let's do a search for them. Boom. Here they are right here, Jacksonville, Florida. Supplier's name, their information, website. So now you can get who they are. You have to sign in and get their information. Here's their annual sales. They under $1 million. They only have so many employees. They formed in 2010. So it's a small company. So targeting small companies is good because they want to grow with you. You'll probably have a better chance of getting in good with a smaller company. As they grow, you're growing. You guys are learning together. You see? And then call the supplier. Here's their website. It's probably going to reroute you to the same website we was at. Call the supplier. There's their contact number. Look at that. And it's the same contact number, I believe, right there. 904-619. 904-619. Yep. So that's just another resource. So Thomas Net, McGrady's Blue Book. Of course, this is just a way to market to the shippers. You can set up a Facebook business account, LinkedIn premium LinkedIn business account. Speaking of which, let me show you how to reach out to shippers on LinkedIn. And then you can set up a Twitter page. You can leverage social media to help your brokerage, right? So here's a link. Here's an example of how to set up LinkedIn. Let me close this real quick to create some bandwidth. And let's go to LinkedIn. And now I don't think I have the premium account. I think I have the regular LinkedIn login, but I'm gonna give you an example of going after people who are shippers. So say shippers. Shippers not in jobs, but shippers in people or in group. You can go after shipping groups, shipper companies, logistics and supply chain, but let's do people who are shippers. And it'll give you people who are shippers or logistics people in your area. This is my area because I'm in the Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake area. So if you were to do it, you do that in LinkedIn for, it'll show up in Jacksonville, but you got like shippers, shipper loaders, shippers and receivers, LTL shippers, warehouse shippers, so different companies, and you can connect with them and then form relationships. Because I got people adding to my network daily. I got 4,400 people that I deal with on LinkedIn, but I haven't even updated. You can try the premium version for free for 1 month. And then it's like, I think it's like $45 a month after that. But that's just another avenue to use for your brokerage to get yourself out there. And then consider joining shipping associations and membership groups. You can look up like, they may have meetup groups in your area. So if you go to meetup.com, right? And you can do a search for.
I get it for real estate.
Right. I got it for real estate too. You can join a meetup group, an event. You can search for different meetup groups.
Right.
So next would be the packet types, right? So there's two packets of brokers deal. Brokers deal with two packets, on the customer side and on the carrier side. So on the carrier side, it's on the customer side or the shipper side, here are the shipper packet contents. So you want to have your broker authority. And this is what a broker authority looks like. You're going to be a broker arranging for the transportation of freight except household goods. So you're doing broker of just general freight, right? Not household goods. You're not an HHG broker. You're not a moving company broker. You're just a broker of general freight. So you need that. Basically, it's called a broker of property. You're a broker of property except household goods. That's what your broker authority is.
Okay.
All right. Then your bond, whether it's a BMC 84, which is a surety bond, or a BMC 85, which is a trust fund, in either case, is going to be a $75,000 bond. It used to be $10,000, but they upped it up about 5 or 6 years ago to $75,000. So here's what the BMC 84, you've seen this before. So the BMC 84 and the BMC 85. So the trust fund is like something you put in escrow. If you got $75,000 laying around, you just happen to put it in escrow. But the surety, most new brokers go the surety bond route because the premiums is between $900 and $2,500 a month to have $75,000 bond coverage in order for you to have a broker, to be a broker. That's what that means.
That's the monthly fee?
That is the monthly premium range for a $75,000 bond, broker bond. You know, it could be lower. This number is from last year. So I don't know what your bond, do you have a bond?
I haven't done that yet, no.
Okay, so you go.
I got to figure out what to go through.
Right, so surety bonds, there's a company out here, it's called Surety Bonds, giving away the game.
No, you're not.
So you have online surety bonds, bonding process. What is a surety bond? Here we go. So we can, Bryant Surety Bonds, you can get information about it. You can call them, you can start the application in all 50 states. This could be a good starting point for you for a broker bond, or you can go to the fmcsa.dot.gov website and get some information about it. But let me put that there. Yeah, Mike says it's the same for the bond.
What's the same for the bond?
I think he was referring to the see, you mentioned, oh, the prices. The prices are the same for the bond. Yeah.
$900 or more?
Well, the range is between, depending on who you get your bond through, the ranges could be, it fluctuates between $900 and about $2,200 to $2,500 a month, because it's like paying insurance, like having a $75,000 insurance policy. Your premiums are so much. So Mike says it goes by your credit. So the better your credit, the lower the monthly premium. So that, I guess that kind of goes without saying there, but if you got the higher your credit score, then you're going to pay less in premiums than if you had a not so good credit score. So they want more skin in the game because your credit is not up to their level to warrant having a lower premium. So
it's cheaper if you pay it annually. You pay it one time.
Okay, so there you go. Mike says it's cheaper if you pay it annually one time instead of paying monthly. I'm assuming, yeah, it'll be a lower number. So instead of paying like $1,500, $2,000 a month. You may pay so many thousands for that annual, and you will have, Yolanda, you'll have that conversation with the representative of the bond company, the bond service that you're getting that bond through. So you got the BMC 84, which is the surety bond, or the trust fund, BMC 85. So that's part of the shipper packet. We're still within the shipper packet, right? So the authority, the bond, you don't need both. You just need one or the other as it relates to the bond, okay?
Right.
And then the W-9, your broker W-9, you know, Yolanda, doing DBA, world, what do you say, worldwide transport?
Yes.
And then however your legal structure entity type, whether it's going to be single member LLC, S Corp, C Corp, LLC, and then your EIN number. Believe it or not, I've seen people associate with their companies their actual social security number. That's one of the most foolish things I've ever seen in my life. But it's happened. But
yeah.
What's the point? What's the point of getting an EIN if you're not going to associate it with your business to kind of protect yourself? So. And then you may even consider getting some contingent, in addition to insurance, contingent cargo insurance. Contingent cargo insurance means that if your insurance is not enough to cover, you got a contingent backup for that. So if in other words, if the loads from your shipper is so high that your insurance cannot cover it, then contingent cargo comes in and kind of makes up the change for that. So, and then your credit application. This is what the shipper fills out. So this is an example of what one looks like. So, and that's a shipper packet. Now, most people, they'll put a story, they'll put their autobiography in it. I said, I would give the shipper the bare minimum that they're asking for. No shippers are going to sit there and read all that, right?
Yeah.
They want to get I got 5 kids, one is in college. I don't want, if I'm a shipper, I'm not trying to hear that. I want to
Why do I care?
Exactly. I'm trying to get you set up. Give me that credit application. I'll fill it out. Let's get these loads out. That's what I need. I don't need,
Yeah.
We can do that later. If once we build a relationship, then I'll find out you could invite me to dinner. I'll eat you out of house and home. And then here's the carrier packet. So on the broker, you're the true middle person between the shipper and the carrier. So now you just covered the shipper packet. So the broker carrier agreement, we went over this yesterday in the dispatching seminar.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the standard, broker carrier agreement with the verbiage in here, the broker's responsibilities, the shipper's responsibilities. As a broker, now that you're starting to understand brokering, you may want to add some things in there that some brokers don't to kind of entice carriers to come onto your brokerage too. Like, what are your detention numbers? What are your lumper? Is it included in the rate? What are your TONU rates? TONU means truck order not used. So if you are a broker, you book a load with me, the carrier, and then you call me and say, oh, by the way, the shipper canceled that load. Well, I need to be paid something. So truck order not used, what is that rate? Is it $250? Is it $300? What's the cap? Lumper fees. So if I get to a shipper or receiver as a carrier to get unloaded and loaded, some warehouses, those guys in there, they charge for that service. Lumpers. So how do I pay that? Is it included in the rate? Is it covered in the rate, or do the carrier have to pay that separately when they get to the facility? If they have to pay it separately when they get to the facility to get to the shipper or the receiver to get loaded or unloaded, how is that payment arranged? Is it a T-check? Is it credit card? Is it cash? If it's a T-check or a T-code, then I need to know, I need to know the name of the facility, I need to know the tax ID number, and I need to know the amount of the lumper. You may be able to explain this in a small paragraph in your broker carrier agreement. So the more you lay out for your carrier as a broker in your broker carrier agreement, the easier the relationship will be for you and your carrier. I wouldn't want you to set your brokerage up with a broker carrier agreement that's too ambiguous. There's too many holes to fill. With detention, is it 2 hours? Is it 3 hours? Depending on the equipment type determines how long detention starts and how much you're paying. So if you got a flatbed, most flatbeds, they pull into a yard, they come out with a forklift, get unloaded or offloaded, and they're gone. But with drive-ins and reefers, you're pulling into a security gate. You may have a long line. You got to go into the loading dock. You go into the windows, get them the BOL. They give the load number. Okay, wait here for 30 minutes, and then they come out and say, oh, by the way, the forklifts broke. We got to put some water in it. It got to be charged back up. So you're sitting there for hours. So after 2 hours.
Oh, I've sat at one for 6 hours before with my husband.
Yeah, see, so after 2 hours, then I can give you anywhere between $50 to $150 an hour for detention. So, but explain that in such a way in the carrier packet that the carriers understand that. Don't leave no like ambiguous stuff. Whereas, therefore, thou art. It looks like a Bible verse. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
But explain it in the brokers need to explain this in the carrier packets in the way that carriers they understand. Before they sign it, they need to thoroughly understand it, right? So,
okay.
It makes it and by doing that. Word was spread so fast that this is a good broker to work for because they're explaining things to us in such a way that we've never seen before.
And I think a very attractive niche is if you're going to pay every 72 hours instead of waiting 7 days or 14 days.
Well, if most factoring companies, brokered loads, factoring companies, they'll do 24 to 48 hours, but they'll charge, it's called quick pay. They'll charge like up to 5%. They'll charge 5%. So most brokers I've been noticing when I've been dispatching, they have a three-tier pay scale for their brokers. Okay. They'll do quick pay. They'll do quick pay at 5%, which is 24 to 48 hours, but they're using their factoring company to initiate the quick pay. They'll do what's called a 5 to 7 day wire transfer, ACH, automated clearinghouse, where they'll get the account number and the routing number for an account for the carrier, and they'll wire that money to them, or ask for a voided check, however. And then the third way is just a standard paper check, which is 15 to up to 45 days out, sometimes 60 days out. So yeah. So it gives the carrier options. So most carriers, especially if you're new, they want their money up front because they need that money to buy fuel for the next load. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Buy equipment, things like that. So they're going to go with that quick pay option. They'll take that 5% charge if they're making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on the load. Who cares?
Yeah.
Because you're getting your money right there. So it's a business from the broker side. It's also a business from the carrier side. If I was a carrier, I'll take that, especially a new carrier, and I'm getting a decent load. I'll give you 5% on the $5,000 load. You can have, what is that? $250, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm getting $4,750. So, I mean, come on. So.
And I'm gonna keep you rolling.
You rolling, exactly. So
everybody gonna make money together.
Exactly. So also broker carrier agreement. So we're on the carrier packet. We did the shipper packet, the carrier packet. So carrier agreement, the carrier profile. Brokers want a carrier profile. They want all the information in the carrier profile. Whether you got a factory company or not, they want the carrier's authority. They want to see that the carrier has they have an active motor carrier authority, and it's usually a common carrier authority. Because you got 4 different types of authorities as far as a truck driver is concerned: common, contract, passenger, and household goods. Generally, most brokers are working with common carrier authorities. Okay. Then they want to see their insurance, and most brokers are requiring. Generally, brokers are requiring. Well, the minimum insurance is $750 according to BIPD. $750,000, but most brokers require $1 million liability because their customers dictate that. The shippers dictate $1 million liability. Even though the minimum requirement according to BIPD is $750,000, it's good. It's a good idea. Just get $1 million. That way you ain't got to worry about it. You know. And then cargo is just get 100,000 cargo. Some say 150, some say 200. I think the minimum requirements are starting to increase. I think the DOT and the transportation industry is starting to increase the liability to $2 million. It's starting to increase. Wow. I don't think it's coming into play across the board yet, and it's not mandated yet. But I've noticed some carriers are rolling into $2 million coverage. That way, when it does come out and become mandated, they'll already have it, so it won't be a problem for them. So, and then on the certificate of insurance, where it says certificate holder down at the bottom, you as a broker, sometimes your customer may require you because you got a contract with the shipper, they require that your brokerage be made a certificate holder on that carrier's certificate of insurance while that carrier is running a brokered load for your customer. So what that means is all that does is the broker will have the carrier or the broker themselves usually calls the insurance agent for that carrier and be added as a certificate holder down here. They'll just put the name of the broker, the street address, city, state, and zip, and they'll just resend it via fax or email back to the brokerage or to the dispatcher for that carrier. And then the dispatcher makes sure that the broker gets it. So, and then of course the W-9, the carrier's W-9 with their information. And then if the carrier has a factory company, they will send a notice of assignment to you, the broker, to fill out and send in so that the factory company can do a credit check on you to make sure that you are up and up.
Okay.
So Robert says he needs to start a factory company. Yeah, it's money in factory, right? You get $1 million line of credit and then you just start a factory company and start giving money to the different people and you'll make that $1 million back within a year, then everything else is profit. We need to add that to our consortium. So there's the packet types under the brokerage. So now approved carriers. So approved carriers are those that you get set up under your brokerage, where they return the broker carrier agreement along with the other documents, the W-9, certificate of insurance, MC authority letter. So the equipment types. Types of companies to target. Oh, here's another resource too, quick transport solutions. So let's see if I can open that up. You can look up resources here under resources under quick transport. Well, first of all, let me copy this link and send it to you. So all the links I'm sending to you, you can just make like a bookmark them or make them a favorite in your browser.
Okay.
Let's see, quick transport solutions. So in here, you can go to resources, and then you can target different companies, shippers, trucking companies. You can go after trucking companies as a broker. Find trucks, search trucking companies. So if you want to look for trucking companies in your area to go as a broker to target them, you won't have to say Jacksonville. Well, I guess you could say Jacksonville if you want to, but how would you do the state of Florida? And then you can target small trucking companies, medium size, let's say 11 to 20 tractor and trailers, interstate. So, and then search. And now it gives you results of trucking companies. There's some advertisement, I can X that out. Well, I don't, but these are the trucking companies. They have 13 trucks, 13 drivers. Here's their DOT information if you want to know more. They're in Jacksonville. So as a broker, you can go specifically, you can call those companies specifically. Hey, I see you guys got 13 trucks. I'm a broker in Jacksonville. I got these types of loads. Let's get set up. So that's another way that you can get approved carriers.
Just out of GP, just click on one and vet them out right quick.
Yeah, that's vet them out. That's exactly what I was getting ready to do, Robert. I was going to click on. See, we got another one, Jax Trucking, MLS. So these are all in Jacksonville. So let's click on one, get more information about them. We vet them out. We can vet them out either through Safer. I think they have a link in here to Safer website under Quick Transport Solutions. But here's their information.
Mm-hmm.
Interstate, scroll down. They do, so they might be reefers because they do. Here's what they haul: fresh produce, building materials, beverages, general freight, household goods, refrigerated meat. So they may have dry vans and reefers. Building materials may also be flatbed. So they may have all three different major equipment types. So we scroll down, here's their safety ratings. within the last 24 months. Number of inspections for measurement period, 24 months, 42. So here's some information you could do. Total number of drivers inspections containing at least one driver out of service violation. So 1 within the last 24 months. So that's not bad. It should be 0, but things happen, right? So scroll down. Out of service, number of inspections with at least 1 hours of service, basic violation. So you get to see, information. And here's the fitness data. That's the SAFER. Fitness data comes from the SAFER website. SAFER is safety and fitness equipment, I think it is. Alcohol and data, no, thank God it's 0. There's no drunk driving. And here's some more information. Here's their insurance information. Their BIPD, remember I kept mentioning BIPD, and it's 750,000 minimum, but most people require $1 million. So, and they were canceled back in 2014, and it became effective again. So basically, it might have expired and it just rolled over into the same day to get it reinstated, or in this case, they changed insurance companies, Maxim Casualty to New York Marine. That's probably what they did. They changed it, so they might have got a better rate. So they've been with Maxim for 2 years, from 13 to 14. They changed over to New York Marine, so they might have got a better rate, new policy. So that's how I read that. See, 2 years prior they were with Northland from 2011 to 2012, and then 2013 they went to Maxim. And then 2014 and beyond, they went to New York. So that's how you read that. So, but as a broker, you're looking at trucking companies and kind of vetting them out. So let's look at let's go to SAFER, our trusted SAFER website, get their DOT. And so this is what you would do as a broker. Look them up. See, someone said something in the chat real quick. Mike, they have 13 trucks and 16 trailers. So they got 13 power onlys and 16 tractors owned. So 16 tractors. Trailers, they own 44. So they might be switching out as one gets old and needs repairs. So they got enough trailers to support their tractors. And they got 13 drivers total. So they're a small company, 20 or less. So let's go to our trusted Dusty SAFER website and put that DOT in that I just copied. Right there. So it coincides with the information. They got 16 power onlys. Now they got 15 drivers. They had 14 or 13. Now they upgraded. So even in here, you can get information about them. For hire, interstate, they haul general freight, household goods, refrigerated beverages, meat, fresh produce. And then their accident stuff down here, crashes, tows and stuff. They only had 1 in the last 24 months. 24 months is how you read that. How many crashes reported to FMCSA? 24 months, 1. So again, things happen. We don't know if it's the fault of the driver or otherwise, but at least it's documented so you can question that if you decide to broker with this trucking company. You see, they have a satisfactory safety rating. So after the total overall experience with SAFER, their compliance review is satisfactory, and that's as of 2018. So. All right. So SAFER is Safety and Fitness Electronic Records.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you want more information about that specific company, then you go to their Csa Scores, their safety measurement system, which is this, and then their licensing and insurance information. So if you click that, this takes you to the safety measurement system. And this is where you get the Csa Scores. Csa is compliance, safety, and accountability. So you get more information to vet them out even further. You look at their hours of service, unsafe driving, you click on each one of these. So these are just resources and how to use that. So as a broker, if you're considering a company with these many trucks, you can kind of drill down into that and look up more information. Also, as a broker, I'm sure you're familiar with a website called Carrier 411.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Carrier.
Okay, let me ask a question about that company we just looked at. So I can call them and tell them, try to broker loads for them.
You can let them know that, hey, I'm a broker. I see that you guys are a trucking company in Jacksonville, Florida. I am a broker in Jacksonville, Florida. I have loads for your equipment types.
Okay.
We can work together, you know. And they're going to ask you, okay, what are your lanes? Let's say I manage those trucks. I'm the dispatcher for that company, and you call me and you pitch that to me. I'll say, okay, well, send me your lanes. All I'm gonna say is send me your lanes and what are your rates, and then I'm gonna run it by my manager there, my terminal manager, because I'm the dispatcher for the trucking company. So I'm gonna run it by the terminal manager and see if we may have a little small meeting after you email me. We're gonna exchange emails. You're gonna email me your lanes and rates. And I'm gonna go with my terminal manager with a meeting and we're gonna discuss it. And then if we have any follow-up information for you, we're gonna reach out to you because in the email, hopefully you included your contact information. And then
so that's when I send them my packet, send a packet to them?
You can definitely send you can send an attached carrier packet in the email when you send the lanes. Yes, that way you kill two birds with one stone.
Okay, when I send the lanes, what
the lanes means is the lanes that you have available that you need. Your lanes are based off of your customer. So if you got a shipper that you got approved for, so an example of a lane is, remember when we first started, we were talking about that reefer load going from Jacksonville to Atlanta?
Yes.
That's a lane. So that's paying $2,000. So
okay.
I would put that in the email saying, okay, I got a lane that's picking up in Jacksonville, going to Atlanta for, it's a 1 and 2, 1 pick, 2 drops. It's paying $2,000 to the truck. This is what I would type into the body of the email. This lane picks up every day in Jacksonville, goes to Atlanta, Georgia. It's 1 pick, 2 drops with 1 stop, 0 degrees continuous, or it requires a reefer. It's paid $2,000 to the truck.
Okay.
And then you'll say, attached is my carrier packet. If you have any questions, call me at this number. Boom, send. There you go.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I just put the carrier 411. This is another login you can have for carrier 411 where you can monitor the carriers and look up CSA scores in addition to this. And you can look up their licensing information. So you have a lot of information at your disposal to get for a particular company. Safer is a good starting point, and then you can branch off from there to get more data as a broker. So, and then you got quick transport solutions you can look up, and you can look reefer trucking companies. You can go look up specifically according to a specific equipment type. So there's a lot of information over in this little legend right here.
Okay.
Right? So that's that, right? So we're under approved carriers. Vetting the carriers, we just saw the FMCSA under Safer, the company snapshot according to the SMS, the safety measurement system, and then Safer. And then of course, again, we cover the carrier packet. Here's an example. I got a PDF. Now this is just in my back office for Freight Broker 101. Just all the data repeats itself, but that's a good thing because you want to get this whole process down to a science.
Right. Yes.
So insurance, MC Authority, Foley's, everything repeats itself. And then we went over the DAT Ascend, the TMS. Speaking of TMS, okay, booking loads. So let's go with that. The workflow of booking loads. So let me see. So booking loads from a broker's perspective, right? So essentially, you get the load list from the carriers. from the customers, which are the shippers. And then, you get that load list either through the EDI alerts, the EDI tender transformation, imported into your TMS system. So all those fields automatically populate. The only thing you would have to change is the name of your shipper to your broker name, and then the rate of the load from whatever the shipper gave you as a load tender. You mark off your margin, and then you create that rate confirmation for that lesser amount and give it to the carrier. So load list from the customers, then you post it. You post the loads. I should have said but it says post the loads or contact approved carriers directly. You should do that both at the same time. Post them on the loads and contact your already approved carriers under your brokerage. So you double your chances of getting that load booked quicker. So instead of saying or, say and. Just think of and. So you post it on your load boards. So as a broker, you're going to have broker level load boards. Dat Power is an example of a broker level load board. Internet Truck Stop Pro is an example of a broker level load board. And in any premium version of load boards, like 123 load board, the premium version. The purpose of having a broker level load board for a broker is you are able to do more features of it. You can post and search on those. You can post trucks and post loads. You can search trucks and search loads. So those are the main reasons for.
And then that's the fee that's anywhere from $55 to $300 and something a month.
With Dat Power, I see a $249 or $250 a month, and Dat Power is the one that is real popular. But there are others. So Dat Power, DAT stands for Dollar Truck. Oh, I still have my, I was with Metro Night. Robert, remember Metro Night, right? But this is Dat Power. I'm surprised I still have. And then Brock, this is one with, I was with several brokerages, and I still got my logins for those brokerages, which is amazing. I'm surprised they didn't, but they just didn't.
I checked and see if you still get in. They may have.
They may have taken me out. But this is Dat Power. Dat Power. I just want to see the user interface, and it gives you the ability to search trucks and search loads. Post trucks and post loads. So getting started with that.
So are you saying that this one is good enough to start out with?
It's the best.
Okay, it's the best. Okay.
Yeah. But there are others that are running a pretty close second now, just so you know. So Dat Power, you got owner operators, you got carrier load board, then you got broker load board. So right there. So these are the features of the broker side. So you can do the load board. You got a broker TMS. You have carrier monitoring, carrier onboarding, load tracking authority. So you got, and then you got analytics, the rates, the analytics, and the reports. So even shippers use the DAT. They have a shipper version. And then you got carriers. This is what carriers can do. They have the load board. They have the authority. They have factoring, fleet services, and load tracking. So that's what the carrier version of the DAT, and then owner operators. So the difference, you might say, well, what's the difference between an owner operator and the carriers? You know, carriers could be like company drivers working for the company. The owner operators, they're like independent.
Independent contractors.
Yeah, independent. So I would, do your research on that to see, set up like a webinar or a conference call with a DAT representative, and they'll show you the features of it before you decide to invest in it. That would be my recommendation.
All right.
So load tender to rate con. So you heard me say that before. So the shippers give you the load tender. So this is a load tender from a shipper. That's their quote, their form. That's what they're going to pay you. So that example earlier that we talked about, that $2,000 Jacksonville to Atlanta. and that's what you would invoice the shipper for. So after your carrier that's under that brokered load delivers and they send you that POD, you're going to pay that carrier through your factoring company, but you're going to invoice the shipper for the total amount, the original amount of the load tender, $2,000, $1,600 of which goes to the carrier, and then you keep the change, $400. That's how that works.
Okay.
But you're funneling all of that through your factory company to do that. So you're funneling the fact that you're invoicing the shipper for $2,000. So the factory company is going to get the invoice to the shipper for $2,000. The shipper is going to pay to the factory company, and then the factory company is going to funnel that $1,600 to the carrier, and then the $400 stays with you. Okay. But so here's a load tender, and then.
But the factoring company deducts from the 400.
Right, the factory company deducts their percentage for that service. Correct. Yep.
Okay.
But imagine getting 10 loads a week at $2,000. So that's $20,000 a week at $2,000. So you're making 400. So that's 4,000 a week from one shipper. Now that's one shipper. Say you got 5 shippers and you're doing that. So you get 4,000. So you get 4,000 a week from one shipper. You got 5 shippers, and they're averaging that 4,000 a week. So that's 20,000 a week for 5 shippers.
Yeah.
And that's just 5 shippers. You can manage 5 shippers. So now you get to a point where, okay, I got 5 shippers, 20,000 a week. I need to scale. I need some help. I need a freight agent to help me with this, right? Or a freight agent to come on to scale my business, to bring on more shippers. I can handle those 5 at 20,000 a week, but I want to grow my business more so because I see that I'm good. I'm in an area that's freight heavy. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, so I'm at the panhandle down there in Florida, like Jacksonville, Tallahassee, that little panhandle, Louisiana, Mississippi, stuff like that, Alabama. I can move freight in that area. That southeast is freight heavy. I just need help getting more shippers under my brokerage. I've built my book of business in such a way that I got 5 shippers. So when I go to other shippers, I can show them my portfolio. Like, look, I'm managing 5 shippers. I got 100 trucks now. So there's no way you can turn me down. I'm doing it. Here's my portfolio. Here's my book of business. So now you're building it up. But again, just like with dispatching, this takes time. And it's a little bit more difficult on the brokerage side. Dispatching, you can just, carriers come and go, but it's kind of more of a challenge. I don't want to say it's difficult, but it's more of a challenge with the brokering side. But if you have all the tools in front of you and that you need, and you have the niche and you understand how you're going to attack, and what area in the supply chain logistics you're going to target, whether it's the manufacturers, whether it's the distributors, the wholesalers, and then what equipment types of those manufacturers or those wholesalers and distributors you're going to target first, the commodities and things like that, you have it drilled down to a specific science and you understand that, then you should be fine. But if you're trying to be all over the place with it, you're going to drive yourself crazy and pull your hair out. So, load tenders, rate confirmations, rate confirmation. So, and then invoicing the shippers, we just went over that as far as, and then paying carriers or agents. So invoicing the shippers, if you got a factory company, more than likely, I would say 99% of brokers are factored loads, right? They have factory because they can't afford to wait 45 days for the shipper to pay them, and then they've got to pay the carrier 45 days out. So that's why most loads are factored loads, if not all, so, and that's that, invoicing the shippers. So, and that's the POD. So the POD is a BOL delivered. So the BOL is what your carrier starts off with when they pick up the load from the shipper and gets it signed and then delivered to the receiver. Once the receiver signs it, now it's a POD, it's a proof of delivery, because your truck is empty and you delivered it. So now it's a POD. So now your carrier is either going to take a picture of it, upload it to you, to their factory company, however that happens. That's the starting point for invoicing the shipper. All right, and then we got what I hit, TMS.
Yep.
Here's the TMS systems, transportation management software. This freight broker software. We went over in Ascend the different features. Ascend, here's some examples of Ascend. Other ones are eFreight Solution, Axis, TMS, Aljex by Descartes. That's a company that owns it. That's a pretty popular one. The larger ones have worked with Aljex, Coyote, CH Robinson, TQL. They work with Aljex because it's more of an enterprise-based platform type of TMS. It's more in a large company, 5,000 employees, whatever type of platforms. It can support that ERP level type of platform, TMS. So, but Ascend is more than enough for beginner brokers to have. And that's a good starting point. You can set up with basic and you can always upgrade to the premium version. But yeah, starting out, well, I think there's some things in basic that you're going to need, I think some things in premium that you're going to need even as a beginner freight broker, that you may consider just getting a premium version of Ascend. That way you won't have to waste the time. You can start off with basic just to learn the mechanics and how to navigate it. But I think eventually you'll probably be needing the premium version of Ascend. And it's the cheapest of all the ones, and it's the easiest ones. It's the most user-friendly of all the ones too. So, and then tools and resources. Now this is just for those who are in the freight broker Freight Broker 101. If you notice, I got a lot of content in the back office. A lot of these freight broker training, compliance stuff, the top 12 load boards, how to find freight like the pros, freight broker insurance, the software, how do I get shippers? You know, your cold call emails, 10 times it. Top 500 manufacturing companies. So top 500 manufacturing companies, that's a PDF. Top 500, this is ranked 2017, 3 years ago, the top 5 manufacturing companies, top 500. So of course that's 3 years ago. So I'm sure some of them kind of fluctuated. So the companies and the commodities that in the industry that they're in. So that's a good starting point too. These are the big boys, like the Procter and Gamble's, the Philip Morris, you know, Exxon Mobil's. So depending on where you find your niche, you know, and this is 13 pages, top 5, and I think it's in alphabetical order. No, it's not. It's just listing in the rate. It's rated, not alphabetical. So General Mills is food. Nucor, of course, is the steel, primary metal. That's a large steel. They have different satellite offices all over the country. Nucor. I was dealing with one in where is that at? In Arkansas, Texarkana, Arkansas. Robert may know where that's at. Large Nucor steel company. Monsanto, they're the worst. All your food products, the chemicals in the Monsanto. Monsanto is terrible. Geez.
Yeah.
Just from a moral standpoint, gee whiz. Sherwin-Williams, you know, paint, you know, they ship it every day. So these are the large companies. So Navistar, that's a good company, motor vehicle. So, yep. Any questions? That's pretty much it right there. I mean, that's just an overview in this seminar, but I think you've gotten some good information though, Yolanda.
Let's put some numbers together. From whatever startup, FMCSA, what, like $300 or something, and you know, what kind of money are we actually talking about, including your TMSs, you know, to get started with?
Yeah, I would say a good between, let's say, FMC.
Oh, I know I saw a lot of different MC renewal prices.
Yeah, you talking about the MCS 150s where you have to renew. You have to either.
I'm saying to renew my to reinstate my MC number.
Okay.
A lot of people are. Those prices are all over the place.
Right. So let's go to the fmcsa.dot.gov website and registration. Like if you want to either renewals or get the getting started.
I guess update my registration.
Update.
Okay, I can do it from there.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna cost a lot less than going to a third party and have them do it.
Yeah, now that's either renewal or if you're making any changes or updating anything, like if you're changing your brick and mortar location, if you're changing the name of it, but you still have the same number. If you're doing what's called a biennial update, which is every, I think, 2 years. Yeah, right here, every 2 years. So the FMCSA require an upkeep of that. They want to know, if you're making a change, and if you fail to do it, you can be charged for that. Like right here, because you're falsifying stuff. Because if you change where you stay, if you change the name of it, but you got the same number, like right here, name changes, address changes, reinstate or revoke. So those are fees that are charged with that. Mm-hmm. But the initial starting point, if you're applying for a broker or trucking company authorities, $300 the one time. So let's put that down, $300. I don't know if you can see my calculator. You probably can't. And then you have your bond, right? Your surety bond. So if you pay annual, like Mike was saying, so I'm not sure of a good number, but let's just go with the low end premium of $900 a month, right? $900 a month for that 75 times 12 months, right? So that's $10,800. But let's say we pay less if we pay it annually. So let's say they charge us $7,500 for the year if you're going to pay it all at one whop as opposed to $900 a month. So let's say $7,500 plus that $300 in statement. So we're doing the minimum requirement to get started as a broker, right? So you're applying for you got your and then your insurance. So your bond is $75. You're applying for the authority is $300. Now you got to deal with the insurance, right? Your liability and cargo. If you get a package deal from like Progressive or whoever does it, your insurance. So if you get a good number from them for a monthly premium for that, what's a good number for that? Let's think. I could go look at Metro's and see theirs, but I don't want them on this recording. Let's say you're paying annual for insurance. Now I know for the carriers is a certain amount, but for the brokers, it's probably a little bit less. I can't think of a good number off the top of my head. So that'll come back to me. Let's also say, and then the software you're going to need. Okay, Mike says it's $4,500 for the year if you got good credit. So I'm going to change, and that's Mike. That's for the bond. $4,500. Mike just put in the chat, no more than $4,500 for the year, cheaper if you have good credit for both. Okay, so for the insurance and the bond, $4,500 for the year. Total or separate? Both together?
You said both.
Yeah. Okay, so $4,500. Let's use Mike's number, $4,500 plus.
No, Charles. What are you talking about? You talking about for the bond?
For the bond for the year.
For the bond, you ain't gonna pay no more than $4,500. But if you got good credit, it's gonna be cheaper than that.
Right. And now we coming up. Now we talking about insurance now too.
Insurance for the business?
For the brokerage.
Okay, that's about $4,000 down payment, and it depends on credit too, from $500 to $900 a month.
Okay, so $4,000, 4 down. So now we at 85 plus the 300 for the authority, applying for the authority of FMCSA. So we at 8,800. So now you factor. Robert made a good point with the software you're going to need. Let's say DAT power. Let's say $250 a month, right? You're paying $250 a month. So $250 a month times 12 months, and we're doing annual numbers, right? We're not doing monthly numbers. We're doing annual numbers. We can break it down to monthly. We'll just divide by 12 with what we get, but times 12. So that's 3,000. So now we're at 11,800 right now. And if you got to think of your office. If you're working from home, obviously as a broker. Now, if you do brick and mortar, it's going to cost more. If you got to lease an office space, but it's cheaper starting off if you just work from home in an extra bedroom or something, extra spare room. So you save on brick and mortar costs, leasing the building, all the lights and all that as extra. So you minimize your expenses that way. So if you're working out of your house, and you can write off that square footage on your taxes, right, Yolanda?
They don't do that anymore, but okay.
They don't do that anymore?
Nah.
Okay, so right now we're at 11,800. So computer system, whatever you need, software to run. Let's say that totals about, I don't know, basic computer and a printer, you total about $500. So you figuring that's 12,300. So 15,000. If you got a 15,000 line of credit or cash to start off with to invest in a freight brokerage, to begin in freight brokerage, that's the annual cost. So if you divide that, if you want to get a monthly breakdown of that, that's $1,250 a month. So, and that's a high level estimation. High level estimation. So I got there's a guy that I got some information from. His name is Brandon Scott. He's in Atlanta. He has a freight brokerage, and he broke down on YouTube the numbers when he first started his freight brokerage as well. So he gave some numbers on that. I'll look him up and get that information as well.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know him personally, Mike, but I spoke to him and Brother Muhammad when they started the company together, Alliance Logistics. Yeah, that was back in 2017 with him and Brother Muhammad, the Muslim brother. They started the company together, and yeah. All right, so you got enough information, Yolanda?
Yeah.
And of course, you got my contact information. You could definitely reach out to me, but I just wanted to pack in as
Yeah, I have your email.
Yeah, I just wanted to pack in as much information into this small seminar as I could, just to kind of give you a feel and to see which way you are currently, and then where you will be needing to head towards as far as, and you got an idea of where you want to start at now, right? As far as shipper, going after the carriers, how to talk to the shippers, who do I start with? You got an area in Jacksonville. You got plenty of supply chain logistics in the hierarchy. You got plenty of manufacturers, distributors to consider going after and calling. And then I think you said you knew some people to start with too, right? Some shippers.
Yeah.
So you just waiting on getting your getting everything reinstated.
Yeah.
And then researching the bond the surety bond
Right.
or the trust fund, and then getting your authority reinstated, and then getting insurance. So you're there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking about letting my husband do it. Let my husband, like I do the dispatching and freight brokering for him.
Okay, so you want the
He's the driver. He can be the driver, and I do the dispatching and freight brokering for him. And that's how I get the training.
okay. Well, I would dispatch for him, broker for him, but also broker for other carriers approved because, you know, I mean, I guess starting out, if you get one shipper, you can just broker that one carrier, your husband's truck and trailer. But I'm sure that shipper is going to want you to move more loads than just one carrier, right? So
Yeah.
you want to get approved carriers under the brokerage along with your husband. And you said your husband drives a flatbed.
No, he drives. What does he drive now? Refrigerated, right?
Okay, he drives a reefer. Okay, so, yeah, and he has his own authority, or is he a company?
Company.
Okay, so he's gonna be looking to get his own MC authority and then going from there.
Yeah.
Yep, that'll work.
We're thinking about that, but it appears that one of the main concerns is your truck breaks down, and when your truck breaks down, you don't have any money coming in. So if you shift that to an independent driver, then that's their responsibility and not your responsibility. You just have to find somebody else if they break down.
Right, and then that's what the insurance, part of having the insurance is for too, the types of coverage and the types of services that the insurance will provide for independent owner operators, depending on who you choose.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on who you choose as your insurance provider, you want to see what features they offer in scenarios like what you just said. So when you're shopping, if you guys decide to get your own authority and become your own independent owner operators, when you're shopping for insurance, ask those types of questions. You know, what happens if I break down? What services? Do you have roadside assistance? Do you have a loaner for me? What if my tractor breaks down? You bring a loaner out to me. If you got a dealership within a certain mile radius, bring that loaner out to me, take that broke down truck, tow it to your service facility. Let me use the loaner so I can at least finish my load with this trailer, you know, stuff like that. Those would be the types of questions, you know, pitch those difficult scenarios to these insurance providers and see if they offer the features of their services to you before deciding to go with them.
Okay.
You know, and if not, then, you know, then obviously, because even though that could be a one-off instance where your truck breaks down like that, it is a possibility. So if it's not in the clause of the insurance policy, then there's other companies that do provide that. You just got to move on from that company. Progressive is pretty good. They're popular with insurance, commercial insurance. So there are others, but I keep hearing Progressive a lot.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Robert says they're expensive.
Yeah, but there are other opportunities out there. You know, I can help you provide some of that information. You know, there's some other resources that are available at a later date or so.
Yeah. So that's good. And if you guys want, Robert, we can exchange information. I can be the funnel between Yolanda and you, or you know, I think if Yolanda, if you join the Facebook group, I could plug you in with Robert, or you guys can exchange contact information in here, and then go from there. You got my email, you got my set. Oh, speaking of which, let me. I'm on a different video.
Tell me your information because I don't have it.
Yeah, I just typed it in, the phone number here, and then
Oh, okay. Let me put my number in here.
yeah, I got yours already, but I can put I guess I could put yours in for the benefit of Robert and Mike.
Mhm.
You want me to put yours in here?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. And that's the right one right there, right?
Yes.
And Yolanda Jones.
Mhm.
And the company was Worldwide Transport.
Yes.
Is that the business phone number?
No, let me give you a cell number in case you want to text. Let me put it in here.
Okay.
Ooh.
That's the beauty of networking, that we can help each other, especially those who've been
Yeah.
to places and done things that other people are trying to get towards. You know.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of put you onto the learning curve of what to expect. Don't go around that corner. Take this other route instead, because you go around this corner, this is what you're going to encounter. So,
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for attending. This seminar will grow. These are kind of one-offs for people who are like non-members of the training platform, but we're kind of curious of what.
You haven't told me about the membership.
This one, Freight Broker.
Mm-hmm.
Freight Broker 101 training for beginners. This membership is there. I'm thinking about changing that price platform, but it's more intense, more detailed, more structured, and the live training I'm incorporating, because I haven't had a live training with Freight Broker 101 in a while, because I've been focusing on building the Dispatcher 101 business up so much that I've actually, honestly, to be honest with you, I kind of neglected the freight brokering side, because there's more people asking about the dispatching side than the freight broker side. But now that I'm seeing a lot of more traction in the Facebook and social media, other platforms asking about freight brokering, that I'm going to incorporate a more structured freight brokering course, like I am trying to build with the dispatching. So, these numbers I'm going to change. They are this way because I partner with other freight brokers who are going to assist me in that in such a way that we train their potential agents as well. So if we got people who enrolled in the Freight Broker 101 training for beginners, they go through this training, these modules and this training, and then they feel, okay, well, I want to be a freight broker, but I'm not quite ready financially. So let me get the experience by working for a real freight broker while I work towards becoming one. So that's where the numbers come in at, to be a part. So you can join the platform and have the potential to work for a real freight brokerage as an agent, building your book of business along the process. So you're
What's the 2-for-1?
The 2-for-1 is 2 people can join for that price.
Oh.
So 2 people can sign. So it could be like a husband and wife team, 2 partners who want to start a freight brokerage can come in. So, but I'm going to change the numbers because I'm still thinking they're kind of pricey. So I may slice those numbers in half. But I'm kind of gauging that, and I'm talking to some people about it. So.
Okay. Anything that you need me to help you with?
I can use your services from the tax standpoint, because you mentioned that you help people with their taxes on the, like you do commercial, like taxes for the commercial drivers and just taxes in general, right?
Yep. Corporations, truckers, and people that have a business. I've been doing that for 22 years.
Okay, see, so you got 22 years of experience in taxes, so maybe Robert and Mike may have some questions about that if they don't have their own tax advisors, or just some insight, So again, we also too, I was gonna, I'll probably get with you a little bit later on in the week or the following week, as far as doing an actual live training, discussing and introducing yourself as far as from the tax perspective and what you can provide, in the, so. But I'll get with you on that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm curious to find out if is that a nationwide thing or is that just a state to state, or I mean, like an area, like say Florida. You're in Florida, you can do. You're approved to do taxes for Atlanta, I mean Georgia and South Carolina, or
I can do taxes for anybody in the country, and I'm also registered with the IRS to do taxes.
oh, okay.
It doesn't matter what state it is.
Oh, so you got a pretty universal portfolio there.
Yeah.
And you 22 years. I mean, you've seen it all. I'm
I
sure.
have.
Yeah.
Truck drivers are hard headed.
You hear that, Robert?
Yeah, I think I had a little interruption there.
She said,
if you're tied to the Lord, tied to your uncle.
She said,
I said yesterday. If you tied to the Lord, pay your tithes to Uncle Sam. You get a Lord 10%, you gotta give Uncle Sam 10% too. If not, they're gonna get you for the old and the new with penalties and interest. I've seen it happen too many times.
So we have another plug for the network now from a tax perspective. So this is going to be it's becoming a well-rounded network.
And that's what you need.
Yeah.
That is definitely what you need.
Well-rounded network. Let's see. Mike says, with bond and insurance, shop around for cheapest price. Not if you have S Corp. Okay, that's what Mike said. Yeah. You don't recommend S Corp, right, Yolanda? Starting out?
No. Keep it as simple as possible. If you're not going to hire anybody, you don't even have to have an LLC. The LLC is really if you're going to, have a president, a vice president, if you're going to do a board or something like that.
You mean
there's nothing wrong with the LLC.
You mean an S Corp?
No, a LLC is different from an S Corp.
Okay.
LLC is a limited liability company. Okay. So most people want to do an LLC to protect them from getting sued. If somebody want to sue you, they're going to sue you and your company. It doesn't matter. The S Corp is if you're going to do stock options. Okay. But if you're just starting out and it's just going to be you, then an incorporated business or a regular sole proprietor, as you grow, you can change it. But starting out, as long as you have a registered business, you should be fine.
Okay.
Don't spend the money unnecessarily. You're doing a corporation. Think about the word corporation. You're doing a corporation for one person. And you have all the stock. That doesn't make sense.
Right. And the IRS knows that.
Yeah, they know that. They don't care. They just want their money. They don't care what you do. They just want your money. And then remember, anything starting at 100,000, you're in a whole nother tax bracket.
Okay, that's 100,000 gross, not net.
Yeah. Well, see. Let's see, how do I put it? It's assets minus liability is your income. So you made 100,000, you wrote off 50,000, you made 50,000.
Gotcha. So that's net. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's assets minus liability. So what you made minus your write-offs. Now write-offs is tricky. If you didn't send anything in, how are you gonna get something back? So if you made 100,000, then if somebody's doing your taxes, then you're in the red for at least $28,000 starting off. So then I got to ask you a lot of questions. Hopefully you've written it out. So what I try to tell people, just go buy a little tablet, 20 cents, the $1 tablet, January. Put all your expenses for January. February, or do a spreadsheet in your computer. Just sit down on a Sunday, just say every day on a Sunday, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna put my expenses for the week. You can do it every week, every 2 weeks, every month. This is what I spent. And then when you send it to your tax person, you have it written out. This is what I did. This is how much it costs. And then somebody like me will tell you, you can write this off. You can't write that off. You can do this, you can do that.
So that's what is that? Itemized deductions?
Yeah. So your cell phone, you can write off your cell phone. You can write off a computer if you buy. You can write off a phone if you buy. You can write off a tablet. You can write off a computer. You can write off telephones. You can write off, you know, like the monthly payment for your cell phone. You can write that off. If you bought a phone, you can write that off. That's a communication expense.
Anything that you're using.
Seminar training. Seminar training.
Say again, Robert?
Seminar training.
Yeah, you can write off seminar training.
Yeah. And the expenses that you spent for the seminar, yes. This is a write-off.
So everything that you do that's related to what your business is about, you can write off.
Yep. Meals. If you're a truck driver and you're out there on the road and you're spending money on meals, you get a percentage of that you can write off.
You keep the receipts.
Well, I would say put them on a spreadsheet because receipts fade.
Okay.
Either do the neat desk or scan your receipts because receipts do fade.
So that
If
whole
you
concept.
do everything through your bank account, if you swiping a card for everything, that's your documentation right there.
Okay. So that whole concept of minding your business, literally, that's what that means. You're actually minding your business, literally.
Yeah, and then some people, you know, they want you to do you know, a bookkeeping side to keep track of it, you know, for somebody to keep track of it for them. That's okay if you want to do that, but just sit down and write the stuff out.
Right.
Don't spend money. Don't hire me to be your bookkeeper when you can sit down and write the stuff out yourself. Because I might say, well, what is this? I can't read it. I don't even know what this is.
Right.
So you're going to either write out, here's the the misnomer. You're going to either write off the expenses of your trucking business or the miles of your trucking business. You cannot write off both.
Whichever is what, higher?
Whichever's higher. Most of the time, it's the miles, because if you went, let's say, I'm just going to put a number. If you went 500,000 miles in a year at 50 cents a mile, even though you bought an engine for your truck that was $15,000 to $25,000, which one you think you're going to write off the most?
Yeah.
The miles on your truck.
Yeah, that's 250,000.
Yeah. So it's the miles versus expenses. Pick one. You can't have both. Little stuff like that.
Yeah. That's helpful. We got an internal tax person.
It has a good track record, praise God, from whom all blessings. So with the IRS.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, guys.
Just keep good records. That's all. Keep records of what you do in case they call you on it.
Any final words from anyone?
Well, thank you for all the information. I gotta I'm waiting on things to come back. I'm gonna keep rolling. I'm gonna do both sides.
Okay.
So I'm on phase one in, and then do the other.
Okay.
Because it's a lot for it to be just me. So right. I'm gonna get some other people in it.
Okay. And then we can talk at a later date. We could probably talk about, you know, how to choose those people, vet them out as far as, unless you know them already, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I have to make sure that I know every aspect so I can distribute, you know, the duties and responsibilities to somebody else.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks again.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.